Are you wondering how to use ChatGPT for project management? Well, in this video, I am going to be showing you exactly how you can take advantage of it as a project manager. Whether you're yet to sign up and are not quite sure what it can do and what it's truly capable of, or perhaps you have been using it but have been left frustrated or maybe even disappointed by the quality of the output that it has generated for you thus far. Now, you're probably wondering who I am and who gives me the right to record this video. I'm a project manager and I've been using ChatGPT along with a host of other AI tools for over 2.5 years now. Now, it's come a long way during this time, but it always continues to improve. But I genuinely believe that me and my project teams are saving at least 10 hours each and every week through using this particular tool. It's also saving a lot of manual work and also preventing headaches as well. In this video, I want to share these tips and tricks with you. Now, before I do that and show you the core functionality, there's a few things I just need to touch upon. Now, I've alluded to it already. ChatGPT is always improving, it's always advancing, and there's a lot of functionality to use and to explore. So the best thing you can do is to sign up to an account. You can do that completely for free, and just to start using it, start playing around with it and seeing what it's truly capable of. At the time of recording, what it can do now might be very different to the time that you're watching. So just bear that in mind. Now, alongside this point, I can only show you so much in this video. I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to go into too much detail. And because of that, I have created an entire AI for project management framework. If you click the link in the description down below, that'll be the first link, then you can get access to that. That's really kind of structured learning, and it will make sure that you maximize using ChatGPT as a project manager. I would strongly recommend that you check that out. The other thing I need to mention is data compliance. We have to be so careful with what we feed these tools and what our organization's policies and general attitude to them are. So I will be walking through that as this video is on, but just make sure you double check with your compliance team before entering any sensitive information into the tool. If in doubt, just don't do it. So as I say, I am a user. I am on a paid plan. You don't necessarily have to be. I don't want to go into too much of the basics in this video. So in your own time, sign up to an account. It's very, very easy. You can do it through your Google account as well. You can do it very, very quickly. You don't necessarily have to be on a paid plan, though you do get access to more usage and some of the better models. Now, just very quickly on models, what these basically are how ChatGPT works, essentially. It's how powerful they are. They've been created for different use cases as well. So in the top left, so I'm in the chat interface, and I'll walk a little bit through this with you shortly, but this enables us to choose the different types of models. Now, depending on what you're looking to do, largely dictates which model you should use. And they give a brief description here of what each one's for, but you can always Google, the different models and learn more as well. You can also use legacy models, but for the most part, you want to use the latest model available to you. So that's just one quick thing on models. Now, while I'm in this interface, I will show you this as well. This is the temporary chat. So if I click this now and open this up, I'm going to read this to you because this is so important for that compliance piece I've just mentioned before. So this chat won't appear in history. Use or update ChatGPT's memory or be used to train our models. For safety purposes, we may keep a copy of this chat for up to 30 days. So if you are looking to use sensitive information, you may want to consider using temporary chat if you are going to enter it at all. What this is basically saying is ChatGPT won't store your data, although it does say it might do so for 30 days. But this is where you might want, this is something you may want to explore. So to open this up, you just click this little button, and that's on the top right of the chat interface. Now, I'm not going to go into specifics on how to use ChatGPT generally. It's beyond the scope of this video. But what I do want to show you, because this is really important from a project management perspective, are there two ways of kind of going about using ChatGPT, or at least that I want to present to you today. The first is that we just create new chats. Now, on the left-hand side are all the chats that I've previously ran for different use cases. Now, that can be good if you just want to quickly spin something up, or you want to be very, very specific in your ask. The other thing that you can do is you can create a project. So if I click new project, and let me just walk you through this, this can be really, really useful if you just want to run similar processes through ChatGPT. So firstly, give it a project name. Now, this could be a specific project that you're running in your organization, or it could be AI for project management, and everything that you do for your project management role goes through this project. And in that way, it can save you a lot of headaches. It's completely up to you. But the good thing about using projects as an example is that you could have one for professional work, one for personal life, etc., and it just keeps everything separate. Now, this just gives a quick overview of what a project is. So projects keep chats, files, and custom instructions in one place. So use them for ongoing work or just to keep things tidy. So this can save you so much time if you set up a project and feed it with all the custom instructions. Okay. And if you click more options, I think it gives you the ability to change the memory. So basically what this is saying is the way ChatGPT works is based on a memory. So it's basically pulling in information that you've previously provided it with. So the more you use something like ChatGPT or an LLM, large language model, the more it's going to get to understand you and your wants, desires, and how it should format its output. So that's the kind of first thing I want to mention. Either go the new chat route or the kind of new project route. Let's just go in a new chat for now, because I think this would be a good place to explore the first couple of use cases for ChatGPT and project management. Now, one thing I will say as well is, for the purpose of time, my prompts are going to be very, very limited. The prompts that you're going to want to use, perhaps even store, that's something you're going to want to work on in your own time. I do actually have some resources that you do get access to if you sign up to AI for Project Managers framework. There's a load of prompts that you get access to and that you can use right off the bat. But this is something you're going to want to work on. The quality of the output is entirely dependent on the quality of the input. So just bear that in mind when using ChatGPT or another LLM like Claude as an example. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you go into a new chat, let me just wipe that out. You've got two different options. The first is that you can prime the tool. So what priming is basically saying, like, you are this persona, act in this particular way. So it could be something like, you are a project manager with 20 years experience. You have mostly worked in the finance sector using waterfall methodology. Now, what this is essentially doing is I spelled that wrong there, is it's telling ChatGPT exactly kind of what you're looking for or what you're used to, what kind of output would be best for your particular use case. Now, the more information and context you can give here, the better, or at least the more it's going to stick to your requirements. If you don't give it this context, you may find that the output generated is just not applicable or just can't be used at all. Sometimes that can be good if you're looking for new ways of thinking and new ideas, but for the most part, you're going to want to refine your prompt and prime as effective as possible. So that's priming. The other thing to consider is asking. So priming is being like, I want you to be like this and do this. Asking is, I'm not quite sure how I want you to behave. Tell me what would be best. So the way you could do that is something like, I want to achieve X, provide me with the complete set of instructions that I can provide an LLM like ChatGPT. Don't use things like yourself, because it probably would understand, but it's not a kind of living entity. I mean, I'm not going to get into that in this video, but you get the idea. That I can provide an LLM like ChatGPT to get the most useful output first time round. So that's the other thing you can do. So it could be, I want to run a project successfully, as an example, very basic. But what this is essentially doing is if you hit the kind of go button, it will spin up a long prompt, which you can then copy and paste back into either a new chat, or you could kind of put it into the follow-up message, and then basically you're going to get a much better quality output because you will have a more complete and thorough set of instructions. Now, the beauty of doing this is usually these instructions are really, really long, and it would take a long time to write them out. So even if you just did this as a one-off exercise, just to see what kind of things you may need to consider or add, or even, you could even say, provide me with placeholders that I will just update. That can be a really useful exercise as well. So that's priming and asking. Really important you do these things first and foremost. Once you've started to get a feel for that, the next thing I want to do is just walk you through what we can actually do with ChatGPT, particularly in a project management context. So firstly, and I'm assuming that you have a priming prompt, so something like, your experienced project manager, et cetera, you can learn anything through a tool like ChatGPT. So as an example, let's just say you're new to project management and someone mentioned something that you don't quite understand, or it's a concept you haven't yet learned, or perhaps even you're studying for a professional qualification. Perhaps you're doing the PMP as an example, and a term is used in a textbook and you want more context. What you can do is you can say something like, I am new to Agile methodology. I don't understand what is. It could be, a bit of methodology. It could be process. It could be terminology, as I've just said. But you can say something like this: help me to understand it. Use basic analogies, stories. Help me learn it. Discuss only the important things. This is excuse my spelling. I've got my mic right in front of my keyboard, so it's hard to spell correctly. And just actually on that, if your spelling is a bit off, don't worry about it. You don't need to go back and correct it. As long as it's contextually makes sense, ChatGPT will understand what you're looking for. If it's a load of nonsense, then yeah, you might not get the output you're looking for. But that is clear to ChatGPT. You mean understand. So you don't necessarily have to update it. I will just for right click and do that just to show you how you can do that. But just bear that in mind. But this can be really good, and a prompt like this to learn anything, and you can say something like, talk to me as if, or only provide me with a complete learning pathway to understand it. Provide me with a complete learning pathway to learn this from scratch. And then what that's going to do is it's going to give you all the information you need to know, nothing more, nothing unnecessary, and you can follow it. And then you can do follow-up prompts, something like, I now understand this, now feed me the next thing. So learning new concepts, as I say, methodologies, it could be how to do things, new processes, is so good for learning. So that's the first proper use case. The second is creating documentation. So there's lots of different ways you can go about this. You can be a lot more vague just to see what ChatGPT suggests to you, and it can give you ideas. But if you want to get really quality documentation from the outset, then the best thing to do is just give it as much information as possible. So you can say something like, I'm working on a finance project. I need a project plan. Here is a previous project plan I created for a similar project. You get the idea. So that's one way that you can do it. The other thing that you can do is say something like, suggest me the columns I need to include, or what would be a good way to create a project plan for this. So you type all of that in. Now, the other thing I want to mention, because I did briefly touch upon it there, is you can add files. So it could be that you add a copy of an Excel project plan from your organization, and just say something like, this is a previous project we ran. I need something similar, but obviously updated for this particular project. And you could provide project specifics. If your company permits it, you could put in the project charter, the project brief, and say, create a project plan from this. You get the idea. So you could add that. It could be a PDF, it could be Excel, etc. The other thing you can do is click deep research. And what this does is it basically I believe it starts researching the web, and it starts pulling in as much information as possible based on like critical resources and really important resources and highly credited resources. So that can be really, really useful. You can also create images. That can be good if you're creating like a PowerPoint presentation, or you want to put something in the corner of your documentation. You've also got study and learn, which kind of briefly goes back to learning new concepts, as I've just touched upon. But you can do all of this as well. You can click web search again, and that will just expand everything out. But it's really good for creating documentation. I don't want to go into much more detail than that, other than, you could even do something like, I'll quickly show you this. I'm running a project for XXX. provide me with the full suite of documents I need to create to manage this project effectively from scratch. Now, my spelling here is absolutely awful, but I want to save your time, and it just typing quickly enables me to do that. Talking of this, actually, is a good point. I'm using my keyboard to type in my prompt. If you want to save yourself a little bit of time, you can dictate as well if you've got a microphone. Can be very, very useful. So you just click that, make sure you allow permissions, then you can just speak into ChatGPT and it's going to pick it up. That can be really useful. So we've touched on two great ways of using ChatGPT for project management. Firstly, learning new concepts. Secondly, creating documentation. You can also, thirdly, a third use case is improving documentation or processes. So what you could do as an example is you could attach your project plan, you could attach your project charter, you could attach a process document of how your company is currently doing something. And you can say something like this. So for the latter, you could say something like, this process is not working for us. It keeps breaking down at this particular instance. Can you make some suggestions as to how we can overcome it, prevent it, improve it? They're all just examples, but it's very good for improving and getting new ideas as well. Sometimes you look at documentation a lot and you just can't see what's wrong with it, but asking ChatGPT can be really, really useful. So we've touched upon learning new concepts. We've touched upon creating new documentation. We've touched upon improving documentation and processes. The other thing I want to quickly just touch upon as well is something called custom GPTs. So if you open this out, I have created one myself actually, but I'm going to show you, you could create one in your own time. But if I just click this, what this essentially is, these are like plugins or little extra pieces of functionality that you can add to your ChatGPT instance to leverage functionality out the box. So imagine them really as a big bundle of custom instructions where someone's gone in and just put all those instructions in so you don't have to use them yourself or work out what's best. Now, what you can do is you can go through all of these and see what's, maybe useful for you in your project management role or perhaps even your personal life. So there's loads, there's loads for writing, productivity, research, etc. But what you can also find are project management specific GPTs. So if I just type in project management, wait for this to spin up, there's quite a few out there. Now, I haven't used many of these, to be honest with you, for full transparency and just do your due diligence. But some of these might be really useful. Like as an example, Project Manager Buddy has 100,000 chats that have been created from it. So if I just click this as an example, this is a project management tool. If you need tips, tricks, or templates, you can use this. Just ask me anything or help me create a project plan with you. Together we can make your project shine. So this has got quite good ratings. That's why I'm kind of showcasing this one. But look, there's conversation starters. So if you were to use it, you could just, or use this GPT, these would be available just to click as a one-off, a button in that chat. So I'll show you what this looks like actually, because I'm probably not making much sense. So this is one I created, and look, these are the buttons. So you could just open this up, and then you could just press one of these, and that will be the prompt. So you could create really effective prompts that you can use right off the bat. So that is essentially what that's all about. If I go back into here, and I'll just type in project management, but have a little look around and see what's available. As I say, type in project management. There was another one that come up there that I've used in the past. It was pretty good. Data visualization. So you can actually create graphs and things like that. I might need to spell it the American way. But yeah, there's lots in here to explore. As I say, the best thing with ChatGPT is opening it up and exploring and testing it and seeing what's available. Things are changing all the time. Things are becoming available all the time. So GPTs are another highly effective way of using ChatGPT, essentially. And you can create your own. As I say, I've got my own. To create your own is very, very simple. You could go into a new chat and you can say something like, I want to create a GPT, walk me through the process, provide me with a full suite of custom instructions for me to create this GPT to be as effective as possible right off of the, right out the box. I need it to do X, Y, and Z, etc. So these are GPTs. So yeah, now that's another great use case for ChatGPT. Now, the other thing I want to quickly show you, because I've not touched upon this so far, is how you can use it for communications. So let me close this off. Communications, sending emails as an example, can take a lot of time. Sometimes The problem with emails and communications is sometimes, your tone is not quite right, or it doesn't sound right. It sounds aggressive when it shouldn't be, or the wording isn't quite right, and you don't want to give off the wrong vibe or the wrong idea. So what you can do is you can copy and paste your email in here and say something like, I don't quite like this. Can you reword it? Can you simplify it, etc.? And ChatGPT will work its magic. The other thing that you can do is you can say something like, I need to send an email to senior stakeholders. I'm not quite sure how to word it, what to include. Write me an example script. So it's fantastic for custom communications as well. You can even say something like, write in a really simple way, short sentences, so you can actually discuss the structure as well, which is really, really useful. You could, even if you've got a really, really long email chain, as long as it doesn't have sensitive information or your company permits you to do this, you could copy and paste it all in and say something like, I don't have time to read through all of this, summarize what's been said, what's been agreed in 5 bullet points or something like that. So there's communications and emails are absolutely brilliant with, we're using ChatGPT for them. Now, the last thing I want to show you is if you go on Customize GPT, you can change your profile so that the way that ChatGPT interacts with you, understands with you, and also provides your output is better right off the bat. So, you can put your name in here. You can put in your real role. Could be project manager, project coordinator, PMO, whatever it is, but be very, very specific, junior project manager, etc. What personality should it have? This can be important if, you find that it keeps coming back too serious or it's just not professional enough. You can change it here, efficient and blunt. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe your stakeholders need that. Listener might be a good one to put. What trait should ChatGPT have? So, use a formal professional tone. You don't want it to be casual and chatty. You're a project manager, so you could just put that in, and you set this once, and then enable it for new chats. And you don't need to keep putting this in every single time. So it's kind of like custom instructions. Anything else ChatGPT should know about you? It could be something like, I am a personal project manager, or I like to talk about my personal life, or just little things like that can actually help humanize your content or your output, and that can actually be great when working with stakeholders. You're not going to come across as so robotic. And the problem with ChatGPT sometimes it's really obvious it's been created by ChatGPT, or people can sometimes tell. So if you put things in here, you could say something like, your hobbies or things like that, and then what you can ask the tool to do is maybe throw them in the right places at the right moment, so that your what you're creating isn't so robotic. So you hit save and then you're good to go. Now, I don't really want to go into any more detail because I think this video has gone on for long enough and hopefully you got enough value out of it. If you do want to maximize using ChatGPT or other AI tools for project management, I would strongly recommend my framework. As I say, link in the description down below. It'll be the first one. Other than that, if you have any questions, comments, feedback on this particular video, what I've covered, what I haven't covered, drop them down below and I'll get back to you and I can record a follow-up video. But with that said, best of luck. Over to you. Open up ChatGPT, get an account if you don't have already, and just start playing around with it, testing it, putting it through its paces and seeing what it's truly capable of. With that said, over to you. Best of luck, and I hope you have an excellent day.